scheme has been really good. Obviously, there's been some what's causing that. It wasn't necessarily the the pit crew not staying on the lug nuts long enough. It seemed like it was more of a seating issue with the hub versus the wheels. So hopefully they've got that fixed and get a good day today.
St. Mayor, third right now. You see that graphic there, the up and down finishes. That's been the story of their season. I'm curious to see how it goes for them today. He has had 4 straight top 10s here at Pocono, but has not had back-to-back top 10s at any point in this year, coming off a good 4th place run at Nashville. So an opportunity potentially on paper for some consistency from this 41 team at a time where they really need it, as we see the 55 of Joey Gase stopped here just at the entrance to pit road.
He almost made it all the way back in. It's a long ways around this track. If you have an issue on the front stretch or even over off turn 1
No.
Hear him say the car's just lost power and they can't get it to start right now.
We'll get the tow truck behind him and try and shove him down pit road here to his pit stall. The cars are pitted about halfway down this pit road, which the length of this front straightaway, it probably feels like you're on this straightaway forever.
3,740 feet.
It's a long ways.
It is a long ways. And if you have a bad turn 3, that's what we were talking about when we were riding on board with Jesse Love earlier. If you have a good turn 3, you get to carry that speed all the way down the straightaway, and it can really help your lap time or hinder it right there. So to me, the most important corner on the track is turn 3.
Brief pause as we get the 55 pushed back to pit road. Jesse Love leading the way early. Ready to go racing at Pocono.
Lots on the line. We'll see who's able to capitalize in the state of Pennsylvania.
Ready to go for 100 laps.
It's going to be a fun day. We are set to rock and roll in the Poconos.
Good luck. Have fun.
Up to the gearbox in lockstep formation.
Ready, green.
This 2.5-mile triangle is so unique. There is nowhere like it.
Oh, turning into the outside wall.
Watch the mirror. Be very interesting to see how this plays out.
There goes Sanchez.
Somebody's up in smoke.
Spinning in the corner. Complete 360.
3 wide. That's what to do.
Wow.
Aggressive on the tires. Get them worked in.
He saved it. What a restart.
It is called the tricky triangle for a reason.
He's loose. He opens up the inside. Here comes Zillich. Takes the checker. Connor Zillich wins.
That's how it looked a year ago, with Connor Zillich ultimately coming out on top of the rest of the field. Under yellow here for couple of issues. Saw Joey Gase's car get pushed back to pit road. And we also had the Josh Balicki car with an issue on pit road, and he left behind some fluid on the pit lane and has been pushed to the garage, and understand he will not qualify as a result of that issue. So trying to get that cleaned up. There you see the sweeper trucks at the back of pit road as everybody else gets lined up to head back out here in just a minute.
You know, the other thing unique about this track is because of the length of lap time around here, you don't get a lot of laps. It's you know, not as bad as a road course, but in these 50 minutes, I mean, you're going to get 17 or 18 laps probably at most. And when you have an issue like we've seen here with a couple of these cars, and it brings out the caution, if you're on a lap, you basically are aborting that, so you're not even getting a full lap time. And notice also we've got, gosh, 10 or 12 guys that haven't even made a lap yet. Some of them have opted to wait a little while to go out. It is a pretty early morning practice. ARCA cars ran here yesterday, a little bit different rubber. So everyone has a little different mindset on, you know, do you want to go out there right away? We saw Jesse Love, some of those guys pop out right away. Not concerned with that, hoping to get maybe a little more practice. And some of these other guys have, you know, decided to wait a little bit. The one that I'm most curious about is Corey Day. I think about that car here last year and how fast Chase Elliott was in it. Discussion yesterday as I was down in the garage was the height of the splitter. I referenced it last year, Dylan, during the broadcast. I'm like, it just looks a little lower than everybody else's, which is hard to do because everybody's really good at that now. But Corey Day has been so impressive over the past 8 or 10 weeks. I can't wait to see what he can do here. Never been here before, but we saw last year that did not hinder Connor Zilich's performance.
Yeah, and Corey has done quite well on racetracks this year that he is seeing for the first time. Track is back green. Cars rolling onto the racetrack with about 38 minutes remaining in this practice. Let's check in with Carla Metz, who's also down on pit road.
Yeah, Dylan, and of course we've been building it up all season, but today is the day that Jeremy Clements at the 51 ties Kenny Wallace in the O'Reilly Series all-time starts list with 547. Of course, we expect him to break that next week out in San Diego. Jeremy had some media availability yesterday, though, where he just talked about how proud he was to be a part of a small team that's still around. He said when he started, he never could have imagined that it would end up like this, and it sounds like he's got more left in the tank, too. He mentioned that when Kenny Wallace stopped racing, he was 51 years old. He said, I'm 41. I've still got more left in the tank, and he not only wants to set that record, but make it really unbreakable going forward.
He'll tie it with a start today, and then if all goes according to plan, break it next week when we head to San Diego. Herminator is looking pretty good there.
I think AI failed miserably on that photo, and that looked like Jeremy, but that did not. I thought that was John Force when I looked down. I'm like, who's on the side of his car? Really cool accomplishment though for Jeremy, and as he said there, I mean, he's got a lot of time left. He's got at least 4 or 5 years left to be able to drive and still be competitive.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Has a couple wins along the way to show for it. So great accomplishment for him and his entire team.
Got a busy track right now. All those guys sat at the end of pit road. Everybody's tried to gap themselves, but even on a track this big, you see these guys are all fairly close together. And man, for the most part, you're within 10 or 12 car lengths of the car in front of you. You see right there in front of Jeremy, you're getting a little bit of draft, but it also affects the handling of the car in the corner. And I think it's good, though, to pull out and put yourself in that position because obviously when the race starts, you're almost, unless you're the leader, you're almost always going to be in some type of traffic.
Check in with Justin Allgaier and the 7-team radio from just a moment ago.
Well, Clement did Kenny Wallace kind of dirty right here. I got that little picture of him and Kenny, you know, passing the torch, and that made Kenny look like he's about 90. I feel like he'll be a little disappointed when he sees that. And so today is a tie, and then next week in San Diego, he takes the lead.
I guess they're tuned in down there,
yeah.
watching us here on the CW.
I would agree. I think they did make Kenny look a little old.
Jeremy looks pretty accurate there. You're right. But that's the important one. You want yourself to look.
They weren't
right.
concerned with Kenny.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Coffee with Kenny may have some comments.
Might address that.
We'll have to see. Wait and see.
Well, I mentioned Corey Day. You see Connor Zilich, who had never been here last year and was able to pull off the win and pulls out. See where he is.
Still on the splitter.
10th right now for Zilich.
Yeah, a little worried. Talked about being on the splitter, and that's the balance at this racetrack is on low air pressure. You want that splitter to be as low as you can, and the drivers have to learn to really just tolerate it. And because the car does not turn, when you get set down on that, it loses all of its front grip. But the flip side of that is as that air pressure builds up, especially in the left front is the tire that they're most worried about, if that splitter starts to get too high off the ground, then you just lose overall grip. And to me, that was the one thing with the 17 car that was so good last year. See all these guys on the straightaway, that splitter almost seals up, but the 17 car just looked like they did a little better job, or the driver last year, Chase, was able to manage that a little bit better. We'll get a look at the 17 car here in just a little bit and see exactly how that looks this year.
7th start of the year for Connor. A couple wins, and they've come within his last 4 starts. First of the year in Bristol in the 1 car. Got Rodney Childers back in victory lane. And then this one at Watkins Glen just about a month ago. Final corner, coming to the checkered, racing his buddy Jesse Love, and gets the better of the 2 car and goes back to victory lane for his 3rd straight win at the Glen. And he'll be good again here.
Yeah, and he needs that. The confidence has to be at an all-time low. He's been last in his last 3 Cup starts, so to be able to come over here, even though it's not the Cup Series, but to be able to build up that confidence, know you can do it against a lot of the same drivers.
I just have, like, big moments randomly. I feel like I need to be tightened up.
So it's interesting to listen to that and to hear your comments, too, about the guys on the splitter. I was talking to some crew chiefs yesterday, and they were all like, it's just about kind of being, like, the least bad of everybody else, because your car is never going to be perfect here with the way the corners are. And they also mentioned that you're on the splitter a lot here just because of the differences in the corners. Like the car is never going to be perfect, right? So you kind of have to figure out a way to just deal with it. And I think you want to be good. If you can be good off a 3, like you said, that's the long straightaway. But the point is you're never going to be perfect. You just want to try to get it maybe better than some of the guys around you or the guys you're racing.
Yeah, and it's a little bit hard, too, I feel like, for the crew chiefs to be... Ooh, got a spin.
This is the 48 car, Patrick Staropoli. Looks like off of turn 2.
Oh, and did you see those? There's grates down there. He's got to be careful because it doesn't look like he has any damage.
Did
but
we hit
have
anything?
seen...
No, I might have slid enough.
You got to be so careful on the bottom. We've seen a lot of guys not have damage, and then you drive across one of those grates, and it just destroys the car. But it looks to me like no damage to the 48. We'll take a look at him right here. This is the middle of turns 1 and 2. You see it just starts to go around on him. Does a nice job of spinning that out. Doesn't slide up.
1.
What's the big argument? Is that 2? Or
I think it's 1. I think it's 1.
Just 1,
there,
right?
Here we go. Yeah, off of turn. Yes,
right.
it's labeled as turn 1.
That's,
so.
right, so that's what we'll stick with then.
The 48's had an eventful couple days here. Had to change an engine. Found some issues with the car yesterday in tech inspection. He did bounce through that. Yeah, he did a
right
little
there
bit.
At the end, you saw that grate. Gotta be so careful. This track's wide and
looked like he maybe got it with the tire. So no harm, no foul.
Take a look at this again right here. After he spins, I want you to watch over the far right-hand side of your screen. You can see there's a drainage grate right there, and the asphalt is tapered down into that, so the water will feed. And you don't see that as a driver, but watch right here. It's huge. Yeah, I mean, if you hit that just wrong and that splitter catches in that, we've seen that similar to like Creed at Watkins Glen. It just rips the front end off the car.
Under yellow for second time already here in this session with 36 minutes to go. And just like that, track is back green. So just a small pause there, small delay. Jesse Love still quickest. See Brandon Jones and Anthony Alfredo there in the 3rd spot. Both the Viking cars fast again. Alfredo 3rd, Retzloff is 10th.
And Justin was on his outlap, I believe, when Staropoli spun out. So it's credited with 1 lap, which almost everybody has been fast on their 1st or 2nd lap. So it's going to be tough for him to put up a big lap on the board here, just because technically he's on lap 3, leaving the pits and having to use up a little bit of tire again. Tire fall off is a big deal here. The length of these laps, the abrasiveness of the racetrack. and you get your balance just a little bit off, it's really magnified at this racetrack.
Allgaier the winner the last time the series was in action a couple weeks ago at Nashville. That was his 4th win of the year. Started things off in the spring at Phoenix, a place where he's had a lot of success. Darlington got the victory there as well. Got a grandfather clock at Martinsville. This great late race battle there with Sammy Smith and Corey Day. And then this one at Nashville, as we said just a couple weeks ago. That win put him in sole possession of 6th on the all-time wins list. Broke a tie with the great Jack Ingram. 32nd career win for Allgaier, and no signs of slowing down. Turned 40 a couple weeks ago, and is probably in as good a form as he's been as a race car driver and just an athlete in general at 40 years old. Kim?
Yeah, and this team was kind of slow to take the track for practice by design. They kind of wanted to watch the temperatures. The temperatures have gone up since we went green at the beginning of practice. Justin saying he felt like anything in the mid-55s at this point is a good lap right now. And it was interesting talking with crew chief Andrew Overstreet before this practice. He was just talking about Justin and his adaptability and said that they came with a similar car than last year, but he's not going to really over mess with the car. He said he trusts Justin. Yes, he trusts Justin every week, but specifically here, he's not going to mess with the car too much and instead just let Justin do what he needs to do to make all the corners work the best they can. So, Jamie, for a driver, how much of a difference can you make behind the wheel if your car isn't perfect at Pocono?
Well, there's not a lot that the crew chiefs can change anyway with the way the practice format is now. It's not like you can go back to the garage and rescale it and change springs and all these different adjustments. But what's important here is you see that car's really loose in turn 3, which typically is the tightest turn on the track. As he heads down into turn 1, the more banking there is, normally the freer the balance is. So as you go around the track and you lose the banking, it gets tighter. But as a driver, you just have to learn to adapt to that environment that you're in and you know, make the best mental adjustments you can inside of the car. I would say that if I'm the crew chief at the 7, based on the season they've had, he already knew there wasn't going to be a lot of adjustments that needed to be made to Justin's car.
They were really good here last year, too, in contention at the end and had some contact on a late restart with Chase Elliott that ultimately set them back. But Allgaier still looking for his first win here. Sheldon Creed is as well, and they're just looking to get things going back the right direction. Been a tough last few weeks for them. 15th or worse the last 4 races after such a strong start to the year. Got that win in Atlanta early in the season.
But it's not just been the last 4 races. I mean, they only scored 1 stage point in the last 8 races.
Yeah,
so it's been, for everything that went perfect at the beginning, it all just kind of has crumbled. But I would just tell you that's racing. You know, I mean, racing comes in waves, and you have to enjoy that when everything's going your way. These 2 guys, though, Creed and Jonathan Toney, they get along really well, like each other. They've been extremely successful already, and they'll get that turned around. It's just, you know, racing has kind of like 3 seasons. I feel like we kind of have the spring, the summer, and then the fall, the championship part, and it's hard to be good consistently through all 3.
And that's kind of been the Haas factory team mantra this year. We talked about Sam Mayer in the 41 and just their up and down season. So certainly in one of those stretches for that group. Here's the 87. We normally see Austin Green in this car, but it's Nick Sanchez this week, and believe the next couple of weeks on the road courses at San Diego and Sonoma. Yeah,
and this is one of those, you're happy for Nick to get the opportunity and you're heartbroken for Austin to, you know, have to step back and let this car run a few races. It'd be really interesting, though, to see the direction this team decides to go. Kim, do you have more on the 87?
Yeah, and the thing is, yes, it's a heartbreak for Austin Green not having the full schedule now with Nick Sanchez hopping in, but I got to say, he's had a great attitude about it. He is here this weekend, and he's going to be at every race that Nick is behind the wheel, and I asked him kind of why, and he said, well, instead of, you know, sitting at home and sulking, it's really important for him to still be at the track, still be present, see the other side of it, too. He said there's probably a lot to learn from the top of the pit box, so he was excited for the weeks that Nick was in the car from the perspective of he's got different things to learn from this point of view than when he's behind the wheel.
Yeah, Kim and I talked about this yesterday as we were going through the garage, and how hard that is for Austin to have to step away, but also how big it is of him to be here and still be a part of the team, and hopefully he can get back in here in the road courses. He's a tremendous road racer. He's done a great job with that, and hopefully see him back in the car.
Yeah, I never like to see anybody else behind the wheel of your race car, but good opportunity for sure for Sanchez. Saw him in action, of course, with AN Racing earlier this season. William Sawalich in the 18 is 7th right now on the board. Carla?
Yeah, and he is coming off of 3 straight top 5s, and of course 1 top 10 if you're looking over the last 7 races dating back to that win at Rockingham. That also includes at a place like Charlotte, which he really says is really not his best style of racetrack. And of course they want to run well today. They finished 21st last year here at Pocono, but if you talk about off-week news, he had more of one of the unique ways to spend the off week. He was in London at a road course driving school, so of course he wants to do well at Pocono, but I think he's really prepared for the next 2 weeks, spending the off week overseas.
This kid travels like.
Oh, surprised Trump wasn't with him.
I know.
Right?
He is
it all.
living the dream for sure.
Yeah,
I
good
met
for
the
him
Pope
though.
over the off season, like.
Yeah, I mean, on your off weekend, especially the grind that these guys have been on to go, first off, to travel, which is great, but to go do it and trying to get better in racing. He's doing everything he needs to do to try to get better for those road courses that are coming up. And as Carla mentioned right there, his last 3 races to be in the top 5, when you can run top 5 every single week, you're going to win another race sooner than later. They've done a great job, though, a lot of different type of racetracks, even some that he mentioned weren't his best tracks, getting good runs in. So good for him.
That's what they've been searching for the last year and a half, really, just some consistency. But best part there for Sawalich is that he gained a ton of points and is now pretty comfortable to the chase cut line. Look at his teammate there, Brent Cruz, in the 19. Here's Carson Quapple in the 9 for Junior Motorsports, just in front of Cruz.
The confusion of who's in which car.
Well, they're in different schemes, you
different
know.
Sponsors.
Yeah.
It's so confusing. I talked to him a little bit in the garage yesterday. We were talking about San Diego and the preparation for that. And he mentioned, doing a little work on that, but also just trying to get prepared for this weekend. And it's a little difficult for those guys jumping back and forth each and every weekend. I think he's done a really nice job. And unfortunately for him, Phoenix got away. He was in a position to be able to win that race. And I believe if you win that, your trajectory of what you do the next 5 or 6 weeks could have been completely different, just because the weight being lifted, off of your shoulders. And once they can get that first win, no matter which team it's with, it's going to be huge for Carson.
And those days of him jumping from car to car are dwindling in number. He's getting to a stretch where he is still going to be. He's going to run the 91 at Sonoma, I believe, and I think he's in this car a couple more times. But getting closer to the stretch where he's just in the 1 to finish out the season. So certainly been a challenge to start the year, but he's had speed in a lot of those cars every time he's behind the wheel of them. As has this young man, Brent Cruz, in the 19.
God, I thought he was going to win Nashville.
Man, he has been so close. Yep, he has been so close a couple different times and just continues to get better and better every time he's behind the wheel. That's Nashville is not his only near miss. We saw him put in this great run at Bristol, racing Zilich and Kyle Larson there in the 88. Just got away from him in the closing stages, had that wall contact there, which ultimately kind of derailed the finish. And then Nashville, he was so strong. The 19 was good there a year ago, and Cruz stepped right into that car and was fast again, challenging eventual winner Allgaier.
Yeah, and when they made their green flag pit stop in the final stage, and he came out 4 seconds ahead of Justin, I'm like, well, there's just no way. He's been, matching lap times, but their balance got a little off. The 7 nailed it perfectly, and then they had that epic battle down to the end. And once Justin passed him, I thought it was over, and Brent roughed him up a little bit, was like, oh, I don't want to give it up quite so easy. He gave up a great fight, but the 7 just better car at the end at the right time.
And their points battle, we've talked a lot about that with Cruz missing those races at the start of the year. Had a good stretch of about 4 weeks there where they gained a bunch of points, and then a 2 or 3 week stretch where they lost points, and they're now minus 15 to that chase cut as we start to focus on that battle for the 12th and final spot with 8 races remaining in the regular season. And the guy he's starting to battle for that is his teammate Taylor Gray in the 54, who had an okay run at Nashville. Talked to Taylor yesterday and kind of made that comment to him that it seemed like things were better, and he just was kind of like, Well, we still could have been better.
I guess that's Taylor, though.
That is.
Right? I mean, like when you talk to him, he's always looking for a little more, and maybe not the most optimistic guy when you talk to him in the garage. They've got really fast cars, but it seems like they're plagued a lot of weekends with things not going exactly their way. But maybe that top 10 last week will get them back on track and where they need to be. You see right there, he's hanging by a thread, only 12 up on the cut line right here, and he's got some good guys behind him. Raja right there, and then Brent Cruz, we talked about, has just missed some races this year and is just climbs up every single week.
Well, I think for Gray, you talk about the struggles of their season, and they're still on the positive side of the line, right? So if they can put a full race together and have some of those things that a lot of the issues they've had this year have been things that have been out of their control. If they can get some of those sorted out, car's fast. They've got speed. They kind of need some luck. So,
and he's got to feel good coming here. It's been a good track for him, and in every series he's been in, he's been able to be in the top 10. So, got to feel good coming to a track that you've had success at.
Top 10 here in every start he's made in every series, and had a 5th place run here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series a couple years ago, back in 2024. Kim?
And Dylan, I want to touch on kind of the struggles of the 54 that you mentioned. In talking with crew chief Jason Radcliffe, he described it as the sophomore blues. And he said, look, he learned so much in his rookie year, and he's been able to apply that. But now that Taylor is faster because of all of the lessons he's learned and the things he's been able to apply, it opens up a whole new can of worms in terms of new things to learn, racing around stronger drivers, and just improving his game in general. Now, you said that's not to say we've had a bad season. It's just there's things you battle in your sophomore season that are different than your rookie season. So as we look at Taylor Gray coming in for additional adjustments, I want to move to William Byron in the 88 car. Remember, before the break, the 88 ran Kyle Larson at Nashville, and they did not have the day they wanted despite a different driver, but the car was not good. And crew chief Marty Lindley told me, in fact, they were embarrassed by Nashville and then had all of the off weekend to think about it. So they are in kill mode, he described this weekend. But it's been a little bit of a tough practice so far. That car has bounced around in terms of the conditions. The first run, it was pretty loose. He was needing lateral grip in 1, then tight in 3, neutral in 2, just to give you a picture of how different each corner is here at Pocono. They made some adjustments, came back out. They made it too tight, so they had to go back a little bit. Right now, Williams saying 1's comfortable, 2 and 3 are still tight, though. So again, that compromising you're having to make here at the Tricky Triangle.
I think that's great stuff, Kim, and that's good adjustments on their part, because when you go from too tight to too loose with one adjustment, that means you're within a good range. And we know that the junior motorsports cars are fast every single week. So if they can get on both sides of that balance with a minimal change in the pits, that's a great position for them to be in. As I look at his lap times, he's run 10 laps right here. Good lap times, been able to work. You saw you got by Brent Cruz right there. Brent's got a few more laps on his tires, which obviously you're going to be a little bit slower there. But if they get the balance right on that car, Byron. You see those guys looking inside of there, just if they can find anything wrong with it. But yeah, I mean, great decision there to come in and let them look at it. You know, one of the things the guys like to do is to stay out and just run multiple laps, because as you cycle the tires, it's hard to know those adjustments you made, because the balance tends to shift tighter and tighter every time you go back out.
While we were away, Cole Custer, who was in the field in the 0 car today, drove back to the garage, and it sounds like Kim is back there to get an update from the driver himself.
Yeah, let's hear from Cole. Cole, early into the practice for you, what was the issue?
Yeah, it seems like just have a fuel pressure issue. So we'll go down the straightaway and just stumble a lot. So the HMS guys here with the Hendrick engines, they're going to work hard on it for us here to get back in the race. But felt solid about it, you know, when it wasn't stumbling. But hopefully we'll pass a lot of cars today. Hopefully work our way up there. Want to get Cisco a good run here. It's awesome having them on the car. Got the bowl of soup on the car this weekend. So yeah, I mean, it should be a lot of fun passing a lot of cars today.
Were you able to answer all the questions you had, though, for this practice despite it stumbling, or there's still some things you're concerned about?
Yeah, I mean, you don't get the perfect read on your balance just because you're stumbling a lot, going down the straightaways and going slower. But I think we got a decent read on it, and should be able to start with a solid balance for the race. So, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of faith in our guys. We'll fix it. We'll be right in the fight.
Thanks, Cole.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim, for that. Custer, the only multi-time winner here at Pocono in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. So hopefully they can get that fixed up and get him a good run later on this afternoon. Here's Brandon Jones, 4th and final Gibbs car we've seen so far today in the 20. He is 2nd right now. This is a car that they know well. His 2 wins last year, Darlington and Kansas, were in this same car, so they are optimistic. Crew Chief Sam McCauley there left of the screen, optimistic about what they've got here this weekend.
And Dylan, you mentioned, you know, 2nd overall on the lap time. He's run 16 laps, getting ready to complete his 17th lap. 2 seconds of fall off so far just in the first 16 laps, and man, that's huge. And to me, that will bring a little bit of strategy into the race later today, because with that much fall off, this is a track position race. We talk about that every week, but again, the more fall off you can have, the more opportunity there is for guys to take a chance and put a set of tires on. So good to see. Good tire this weekend.
Yeah, it's been interesting chatting with people in the garage. There's discussions of whether you think a 2-stop strategy, which won the race last year, is the right call, or if you want to try for 3 pit stops and basically take advantage of having newer tires. So that's something that we're going to be keeping tabs on this afternoon. Sammy Smith with the series colors on this weekend, the O'Reilly Auto Parts livery for the 8.
Talked with Sammy for quite a while yesterday. We mainly talked about San Diego, but also just about coming here and where that team's performance is. And frustration, I think, would be the word to explain kind of where they're at. He's like, listen, we just feel like we're a little bit off. We can run 5th to 11th, but we want to take that next step and get a little better. And I'm like, is it? You see his teammate right there behind him, Allgaier, and I'm like, with the season that your teammates have, and it almost makes it even more frustrating, because, you know, as a driver, you want to always think you're missing out on something, but when the guy that's won the most races is in your shop, you know what they have, and you can't make that work. It makes it just super frustrating. But very similar to like we talked about with Creed, racing comes in waves, and there's a lot of times, like for the 7, everything they do, the change is better. And it's so much fun when racing's going that way. And for the 8 team, it's not perfectly clicking for him right now, and it becomes very frustrating right that. Carla, you got more on Sammy?
Yeah, I do, and just some numbers to kind of add to the frustration that you're talking about for the 8 team. They talked to them before, you know, the off week, and he really wanted to try to put together 2 top 5s. They weren't able to do that. He had a top 10 at Nashville, but now it's focused. Now that we're back from break, he said, I've got to get more stage points. The 8 team only has 4 stage points in the last 5 races, which is the fewest of the 12 drivers above the cut line. Despite that frustration, though, like we've talked about all season, it's the longest active top 20 streak in the series. He has 14 straight, which goes back to that big complaint of, yeah, I have a season that looks good on paper, but it just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it's just been quiet. They haven't been flashy. They haven't got that win. He and crew chief Corey Shea, new pairing this year. And certainly have to expect there's still some things that they are learning about each other and what they need from each other, even at the midway point in the season. Talked about the Viking Motorsports group a little bit ago. Anthony Alfredo in the 96, third fastest overall, but fastest on the 5-lap speed. Is he happy, though? Let's take a listen to some team radio.
Just that healthy entry, but I still just can't touch the gas. The back kind of feels like hiked up and on top of the track. It's really bad through the tunnel.
Yeah, I feel like our pace isn't too bad. Like I'm watching the ones lap times. He's about the same lap on tires. He was only like a 10th better than us.
Well,
okay, so this goes back to just being the least bad, right?
Yeah, well, that's so funny. Yeah, and a 10th here is not much. Like you can, this is one of those tracks you can feel pretty good, and you can be a second a lap off because of how big it is and how long those straightaways are. With if you get that balance off a little bit. But you're right, Dylan. I mean, it's one of those things. Like it might not feel good, but who cares? Because as long as your lap time's good, ultimately that's all we're racing right here. So happy for these guys. This Viking Motorsports has maybe been the best story of the year of guys stepping up. Both he and Parker Retzloff. Retzloff's 11th right now, but every week one of those cars or both of those cars are really fast.
Yeah, they've been so impressive and knocking on the door of a win, no doubt. Austin Hill in the 21, new colors for him. You guys are going to have fun up here in the race.
Man, I was going to say, pay attention here.
11th at Nashville was the result last time out for Austin. Winner here back in 2023. There's Chad Haney left of the screen. This has been a good track for them. Had that win we mentioned, but top 10s in 3 of their starts here, got collected in a crash. We saw that Brandon Jones incident earlier. They got collected in that crash a year ago. So result a year ago, not indicative maybe of how strong they were, but been a good place for them. Kim, you have more on the 21?
Yeah, you mentioned last year, and in talking with crew chief Chad Haney, he said really it started with qualifying. His line in qualifying last year was not great. He was really shallow into one, and so he's like, we're not going to let Austin do that again. And then just after that, they could never get track position. So their focus was just Austin's line, specifically what he's going to run in qualifying. And he said he does have a tendency in general, everywhere we go, to drive into the corners shallow. He did say, though, with the additional time that he's been spending in the Cup Series car, he felt like that's actually helped him arc the corners a little bit better.
Interesting stuff to watch. Lots of different approaches to making speed around this racetrack as we wind down practice here at the Tricky Triangle. Beautiful part of the country, and this racetrack always delivers. Fans come out in droves, and going to be another great day of action here at Pocono. was the fastest speed. Only guy in the 54-second bracket, in fact.
Yeah, the car still looks good. He's run 15 total laps here. Still looks like he's got really good speed. You hear Stockman on the radio talking about decel rate. Those guys have, it's obviously their own lingo and exactly what they're seeing. Jesse Love's, I don't think I've ever met anyone who thinks quite as deep as Jesse Love. Like, I had a long conversation with him yesterday, and he definitely has a little different approach than most, and I think it's great. I mean, if that's what works for him, good for him.
For a young guy, it is so impressive and enjoyable to just listen to him speak and kind of share his thoughts on things. Well, it was an off week for on-track activity, but not for Jeb Burton. He had a pretty big weekend off the racetrack, and Kim has more.
Yeah, Jeb got married during the off weekend, but the most interesting part is he and his wife were married by his cousin Harrison. Yes, Harrison was the ceremony leader, and I asked Harrison, like, how challenging was it? What did they ask of you? And he's like, I was nervous at first because they wanted like a 20 to 25 minute ceremony. I did catch up with Harrison. He showed me his long list of notes. I said, what kind of ceremony was this? Was this a make him laugh, make him cry? And he said, I think I got people to do a little bit of both, which was what the goal was. My favorite thing about the whole wedding, though, Jeb roped in some of his sponsors. Golden Corral was there to cater. Not only cater, he said they brought in chefs. Golden Corral sent in chefs to actually cook the food at the wedding. So it's never truly an off weekend for a NASCAR driver.
Well, that's just some good ROI for the sponsors,
absolutely.
I guess, right? Yep.
Absolutely.
I bet that wasn't any fun up there either. I bet they had a good time.
That's a lot of pressure on Harrison.
It is.
I don't believe I would have signed up for that, cousin or not.
Hey, congrats to Jeb and his wife Amanda on tying the knot. Cool stuff for sure, and fun for Harrison to be involved in that. Whole Burton family, a lot to celebrate a week ago. Jeb's got his dogs on the car this week too. I like that. Winding down practice, 6.5 minutes to go.
On the exit of turn 3 and trying to get into pit road to simulate what you might have to do if we do a green flag pit stop later today.
Corey Day back on the racetrack, heard that radio with some
smoke free, it looks.
Yeah, it looks good now. First start here at Pocono. As you mentioned earlier, though, Jamie, that has not really deterred him.
Doesn't seem to matter.
Had a 15th at Watkins Glen, but all the other times he has run on a track this year that he's not seen in any other series, he's had top 5s and 2 wins in that same grouping. Of course, the wins at Talladega and at Dover. So he gets acclimated to racetracks pretty quickly. And here is a look back at those 2 wins. Talladega victory, maybe the more surprising of the 2. I think he would admit that himself. This one at Dover, though, this is one that he had to put all his skills to the test.
Everybody wants to win a race the way that he did right there, to get on the outside. Used a lap car as a pick. Allgaier went to the bottom. He got to the outside, and he's had multiple other races. I think back to Vegas, he had a great car that he could have, been able to win at. He might be my pick today. He is so impressive, so good at all these different type tracks. As I look at his lap times right here, he's run about 20 laps. His lap times they look really good again this weekend. I think 17. Going to have another great day.
And this car, talked to some folks, was maybe the best car last year with Chase Elliott behind the wheel. So certainly a lot to like if you're Corey Day, a lot to be optimistic about behind the wheel of that car.
I think the general consensus in the garage, if there's just one car you can get in, they all want to be in the
That's probably one to be in.
That's
yeah.
right.
Jesse Love headed back to pit road. And let's hear some team radio to get an update on their situation.
Exit turn 1 lower. Exit turn 1 lower. Please stop talking to me in the middle of the corner, brother. Please. Just watching SMP, so I guess it's behind. All good. Yeah, it is a little bit behind. You can talk to me and I'll tell him, or you can talk to him on the front stretch.
Their relationship makes me laugh. Listening to them on the radio during the races, they keep each other honest. But they can do that, right? That's the kind of relationship that they have. There's a lot of respect and love there for each other, both those guys.
Yeah, and every driver is a little bit different. I never wanted to be talked to in the corner. I would always tell my spotters, like, if you want to talk to me on the exit when I get, out by the wall and you're not focused on exactly what's happening inside the corner. Jesse likes to get talked to, though. I mean, he wants a lot of information. I do enjoy those two going at it. It's like they're related.
They do work a lot on angles of the corner and coming off the corner a certain way or min speed, like very detailed things. So I feel like, and I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but I feel like the fact that they're working on some of that stuff right now is maybe a good sign of what they've got as a balance on that 2 car.
Yeah, and the big thing I would tell you for Jesse Love is, I don't know that I agree with everything that he wants to hear, but if that makes him feel better, confidence is everything. And if you believe what you're doing is going to make you better, then that's what you go with. And he's super analytical and super deep, and the information he wants. And if that's what he thinks he needs to be better, then that's what he should get.
Anthony Alfredo continuing to log laps.
Now that splitter looks high to me.
Yeah, it does.
The first thing I see when I look at that, we're talking about Corey Day and how low it was. The 96, the splitter just in general, whether it's on the straightaway or even through turns 3 and 4, looks high. That would make me nervous. However, his lap times, we mentioned he had the best 5-lap average, but as that pace slows down 2 to 3 seconds over the course of a run, that splitter is just going to continue to get higher, and the balance of that car, or the grip level, will just go down.
Where is the balance, or the middle ground maybe is a better term? We see so much travel with these cars in the corner, so where's the middle ground of it not being too high on the straightaway but being high enough to not absorb those bumps so harshly in the corner?
It's just how much you can tolerate as a driver, and that's what all those crew chiefs, everyone knows the splitter is going to hit at the beginning. It's just how much can the driver tolerate. You see him waving off right there. He's going to probably do green flag stop here, waving off to LeVar Scott behind him so he doesn't get run over. Coming onto pit road here, you don't realize how fast you're going at this racetrack until you get on the brakes and you start to slow down. It is extremely fast racetrack, and then just trying to get down to pit road speed here, that's a tricky place to get on.
And it's such a long way around turn 3. You feel like you want to carry so much speed that then when you get off the corner finally and you realize, we got to slow down here, it can sneak up on you. Final minute or so of practice here. Seen a lot of Jesse Love today, working lap 22.
Yeah, interesting. He came in, only sat for a minute and a half, pulled right back out. He was just barely in his pit stall. See, he's done here. I wonder if he was just trying to get back on and off pit road, or maybe he just ran pit road speed to see kind of where he was at overall. Yeah, he's definitely coming in here. He's just coasting in.
And again, if you're working on this stuff here over the final few minutes, I think you maybe feel confident about your race car. And you can see even at slow speeds, this is a physical racetrack, bounces you around.
It's so rough.
Yeah.
If you've ever driven around the Pocono area, that's how everything is. There's not a smooth road within 100 miles of this place.
Those harsh winters or something.
It's so bad.
Clock winding down, and Jesse going to end up as the fastest car in practice. Good runs from Brandon Jones, and talked a lot about the Viking group. Anthony Alfredo third. Connor Zilich in the 1. A little further down the leaderboard. He's 14th, defending race winner. And there's the red and black checkered flags. Practice done. Jesse Love, Brandon Jones, Anthony Alfredo, Sheldon Creed, and William Byron, the top 5, with qualifying next. in the top 10 as well. Check in with Carla.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Here with a couple of Cup Series drivers. Of course, we have last year's race winner, Connor Zilic, and then, of course, Hendrick Motorsports, William Byron in the 88 today. But, Connor, I want to start with you. You kind of mentioned, you know, just how special this race was last year. At the beginning of practice, you said you were a little tight. Were you able to kind of work through some of that?
Yeah, we got a little bit better. Still not where we want to be with our Road Raider Chevrolet, but I think we'll be able to get there come race time. So, yeah, excited to be back here. This track treated me well last year, so hopefully we can do it again this year.
And then, Byron, I think on your team radio, we heard that you liked what you were seeing in turns 1, but maybe not the others. Were you able to kind of fix some of that?
Yeah, Josh was coaching me up there, so appreciate the help. And, yeah, I mean, these cars are honestly feel like very opposite of the Cup car here, like in what you fight. So it's just trying to figure out what I need. And I felt like the first run I probably overreacted to what I needed and just should have maybe been patient with it. But track was slick there getting going. It looked like a couple guys spun out. So, yeah, just got to get a feel for it. I think the balance is okay. We just got to keep working on it.
All right, lots of adjustments from the Cup guys, Kim.
Well, Carla, I mentioned Austin Green on site despite Nick Sanchez being in the seat of the 87 car. Nick's going to stay on board as he prepares for qualifying. But, Austin, you told me how important it was for you to still be here, things that you can learn. What have you been paying attention to? And I know it's hard to see somebody else drive your race car, but what's been added to your list on things you've been able to learn?
Yeah, I think just kind of taking a step back and seeing all the behind-the-scenes stuff, being able to listen to Jody and Trey on Channel 2, and obviously, you know, kind of seeing how he breaks down the corner and everything. So, yeah, it's unfortunate and it stings, but yeah, I think just long term for the team, it's just kind of building. So hopefully we'll see what he can do in qualifying and later day in the race.
What did you think about what he said about the car?
Yeah, I noted certain things. Obviously, you know, I'm still getting used to these cars and being first time year, so hopefully I can pick up some vocabulary for when I get back in this.
That's so hard to do because everyone breaks things down a little bit differently, and everybody wants something, you know, a little bit different out of the car. And if you're not in it, it's also hard to kind of comprehend exactly what he's feeling right there. But he's doing the right thing, and I'll promise you, as a driver, that is the hardest thing you'll go through, is to have to watch someone else get in your car.
Taking a positive approach to it, no doubt about that. Still waiting qualifying, and we'll see that in just a moment here from Pocono.
but it's an extremely fast racetrack. This corner coming up, you see right there, there's some train tracks that you actually drive across. Those are extremely rough. This corner right here, though, turn 5, it's pretty fast left-hander, and it leads on to this incredibly long straightaway. And I want you to watch how much movement there is in the car. You hear the back tires coming off the ground right here again. 175 miles an hour, maybe 180. Heavy braking zone right here. Not a lot of forgiveness as you look ahead. You see the tire barriers. There's a little bit of runoff right there. This section of the track, though, is extremely narrow. And this heads to this little chicane that we're coming up to. And if you watch, the surface is actually going to change right here. So you've got pretty good grip. When you get onto this surface right here, it all of a sudden just becomes like ice. Like in whether it was in sim or on iRacing, both are showing the same thing. It's also very smooth right here. But as you listen right there, you just can't give it any throttle. They've had to add this chicane coming up here on the left from what we had initially. Very sketchy corner. You're going to see a lot of guys miss this, have to go to the right of that tire or that chicane. This is all the way down to first gear right here. Again, I can't explain how rough it is right there through that section. We've also got another really fast flowing chicane coming up here. The one thing that as we watch this, is you just look around.
Yeah.
I mean, aircraft carrier, control towers, helicopters on the left. There is a lot going on around this racetrack.
Yeah, I think the visuals are going to be impressive, to say the least.
This is going to be the Arby's corner.
Yeah,
that's how we're going to describe these: the Red Bull corner, the Arby's corner, because it's confusing. It's a track that we haven't been to, and I think from our perspective in TV, that's how we're going to reference a lot of this.
Yeah, long racetrack, 16 turns, so it is going to be a challenge. And yeah, as you can tell, this took about 2.5 minutes to run a single lap here. So a lot to remember and a lot to figure out for these guys when they get on the racetrack next week, but cannot wait to get out there. Jesse Love and others ready to go qualifying. That's next here at Pocono.
I would say that the hardest corner would probably be turn 3, just because it's so flat, there's not a lot of grip.
I've never seen the place before in person. I'm really excited to get to Pocono. I think all 3 corners present a unique challenge. I think, you know, the end of the long front straightaway, you just got to barrel off into turn 1. That's probably going to be the biggest one to grab your attention when we fire off.
So welcome back to Pocono Raceway, and of course you just heard from all the drivers and talking about their experience here at Pocono. But Corey Day is getting his first career series start here, and obviously we saw in practice you had a little bit of smoke in the cockpit. Did your team kind of figure out what was going on there?
Yeah, I think they did. It came to pit road and they checked it out and didn't do it again, so I think it's good. But yeah, my 17 guys did a good job. We fired off really, really free there, and I was struggling and came in, made a couple adjustments, and I think we're a lot better now. So
first few laps, what's your impression of Pocono?
It's different for sure. Yeah, it's just it's tough because, you know, obviously 3 corners compared to our usual 4 and just a different layout. So the tunnel's really bumpy. Obviously turn 1 and 3 are very, very different banking wise and shape wise. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun though.
Thanks, Kim.
Jesse Love into that practice top of the board. Were you happy though with where the car was by the end?
No.
No, why?
I don't know. The track, I'm sure everybody's talking about it, but it just feels like super low grip. Feels on top of the track, so you're trying to diagnose, right? Like how much of that is just the reality of the track today and how much of that is, you know, our own balance and setup and things like that. So I think as a whole, for sure, the track is low grip, really slick and slimy, but I still think our Whelen Chevrolet needs some work. There's a couple guys that are just absolutely ripping. So we have a little bit of a gap to close, but and again, the pace slows down so much in the race, right? So you have to play that game as well. But I think if we put all of our heads together between me and the 21 car as well, we can come up with something good.
Do you feel like there was one corner in particular that needed the most work?
Yeah, the tunnel turn. I'm debating downshifting in the tunnel turn, and I've never done that in my life here. So yeah, it's definitely super slick. And the thing about the tunnel turn is you can't hide, right? Turn 1, turn 3, you can kind of hide. You can go above it and find clean racetrack. You can get to the line, get underneath the rubber. But the tunnel turn, it's so narrow, you really can't, hide from the rubber, and that's where we're struggling. So we'll try to make the most of it and see what we can adjust on.
Thanks, Jesse.
Good insights there from the defending series champ and driver that was fastest in practice. And it's time to go qualifying for the first time in a month for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. We've had some bad weather the last 2 weeks, so last 2 races, I should say. So for the first time since Dover in mid-May, we're going to get to qualify here. And Patrick Emmerling has the honors of being the first one on the racetrack.
Oh, hang on.
Boy, we about gave him the announcer's jinx there.
Oh, that's coming to the green. He hasn't even taken the green yet. They got a little different start-finish line here because of the length of this lap between turns 2 and 3 is where those guys will get the green. So not here at the start-finish line, but he's lost all of his momentum because coming out of that tunnel turn, I think that's why you see him pushing it so hard right there, is trying to get a good exit out of turn 2, because technically right out of this turn is where that's going to start. Oh, he's just lost all of his momentum. That's going to crush his lap here.
Emmerling in the 3rd car for RSS Racing and making his 3rd start of the year.
He races a lot, though.
He does.
And we see him run a lot of the Whelen Modified Tour, runs a lot of different type cars. So even though he's not with us every week here in the O'Reilly Series, Patrick, he races about every weekend in one type of car or another.
And the good thing about, boy, he's loose again. He about crashed over there in turn 2 again.
It did not fix itself in that lap for sure.
Good thing about Pocono is this place is so big, we can have a couple cars on the track at the same time. So Natalie Decker also on track, working her way around and up to speed.
I'm not sure what she said right there at the exit of the corner. It was all broken up. It's a long ways here, right? How big this track is. So sometimes we see radios have an issue. See her cross the line right here. See on the bottom right though, just about a second, 1.3 seconds off of what Patrick ran.
Natalie making her 3rd start of 2026 as well. First one here at Pocono, however. Carson Ware is in the 35 for Joey Gase Racing this weekend. It's his 2nd start of the season. Had a 19th place run at Daytona to start the year.
Yeah, I saw he won a pro late model race, I think at Ace Speedway. the other night, so he, like Patrick, doesn't race with us every single weekend, but these drivers are doing some type of racing over the weekend. I'll tell you what, the way this format works, it's a long lap, but you've got multiple cars on the track, so you see Carson Kvapil's already started his lap, got a great lap going there on the bottom, 4/10 up.
And Joey Gase was scheduled to be the 4th qualifier, but if you were with us earlier in practice, his car went behind the wall with issues, so he will not make a qualifying run.
Oh, and I think the 9 missed turn 1 right there. Maybe got in a little deep. It looked like he was a little bit high. See, he's still gaining some lap time on Patrick Emmerling, but he gave up a lot of time down in turns 1 right there.
Yeah, this will be the barometer for the rest of the field to aim for here. Tracker's still going the right direction here.
Yeah, but you see how fast it's climbing now?
Yeah.
It's really slow when he was gaining through turn 1. I feel like he's going to be frustrated with that lap at 54.95. So similar to what Jesse Love ran in practice, but I think we're going to see low 54s in this qualifying session be what you need to run in order to be on the pole.
Yeah, fastest in practice was a 54.902. So within the within a 10th, but still some work to do. Here's Ryan Ellis in the 02 car. Nice scheme for him this weekend. We talked about racing on the Naval Base next week at Coronado. He's got the Naval Academy on the 02 car this weekend. And right of the screen is LeVar Scott in the 45 for Alpha Prime Racing. First start for LeVar here at Pocono.
Yeah, he was 20th in practice, so had a nice lap going. We'll see if he can back that up in practice. He ran a 55.67, so we'll see what he can do here as they tape it up. You get a big pickup here, about a second normally when you tape up, put a little bit of air in the tires.
Ellis working his way through turn 2 and to complete his lap right here at that old start-finish line. He'll go to second behind Kvapil.
Nice little pickup. He picked up almost 6/10. Ryan did from what he ran in practice, so good pickup for him. We'll see if LeVar can get back to where he was. 55.
Oh boy, he was sideways through there too.
He was committed though.
Man, you're right though. I think having to commit, knowing that's the final corner to end your run, it's already sketchy going through there, and then you try to get just that little bit more, and that may not be. We may see some more moments for some later qualifiers as we get a look at Nick Sanchez in the 87 for Peterson Racing this weekend. First start for him since Martinsville, when he was in the AM Racing number 25 earlier this year.
Yeah, he's already pretty loose. He's taking the green. Car moving around quite a bit. And watch that tracker on the bottom. If you don't exit turn 3 well, you see not losing a lot of time. I mean, I know that's 3/10, but it's a big discrepancy in lap time here with how big this track is and how long all the corners are. He gave up a little bit of time down the front stretch. You see still struggling a little bit compared to what Carson was able to do. Maintain through the middle, but again, gosh, these straightaways just so long. The lap time loss is just magnified.
Tracker going the wrong direction here for Sanchez as he works through turn 2, and we'll see the checkered on his run.
Again, a little bit loose right there. He ran a 55.81 in practice. Does not back that up, 55.87. I think he's going to be disappointed in that lap time.
First batch of cars done with qualifying. Harrison and Jeb Burton, both still to come. Brennan Poole as well, one of our upcoming qualifiers here at Pocono.
as you can without putting yourself in a bad spot. So I'm going to go try and lay a lap down. I'm happy to have FDNY Foundation on the car this week, and everyone, Viking Motorsports on this 99 Chevrolet, and just overall try and have a good day after our week off. So hopefully everyone's well rested and we can get back going here.
Thanks, Kim. Good to hear from Parker. Yeah, nice scheme on his car this week with the FDNY Foundation. About 2.5 hours from New York City, so nice recognition there for that foundation as we see Nathan Bird in the second car for Young's Motorsports back in the seat this weekend. First start here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series for him, but does have some truck experience here a year ago.
Yeah, he was one of those guys right there with Nick Sanchez in practice, 23rd overall to 55.81. So Nick wasn't able to. Oh, big moment right there.
Oh, hang on. No, he didn't.
Oh, he was so committed down in turn one. Be interesting to see if they allow Dexter to continue on. Are they going to throw a caution? Maybe.
Still green here as Bird limps that 42 back to the pit lane. Dexter Bean right of the screen. First start for him in over 2 years here in the O'Reilly Series, and he's going to crash too.
Gosh, you got to wonder if there's something on the track for both of those guys.
Same spot.
To have a moment like that. I like that they left that green just because he had already started his lap and the wear on the tires, but.
You want me to drive it back or tow it?
I think you can drive it.
Yeah, it's a tough break. DGM Racing, 91. You're right, though, Jamie. That was the same spot.
Yeah, I mean, is there something on the track? Or we heard Jesse Love and a lot of these guys talking about how slick it was. He has his moment quite a bit lower on the racetrack and then just chased it up the racetrack. I thought that Dexter almost looked higher and almost a little further around the track, but I wonder, did one of those cars in front of them leak some fluid?
Well, it's been an eventful morning. Had several cars with issues in practice. Nobody really, we thought, lost any fluid on the racetrack. Had a couple cars lose some fluid in the pits. And here's Dexter Bean.
No, actually, those are pretty similar places on the racetrack right there. I thought that he was a lot higher, but huge impact. Nathan just chased it up the racetrack. It snapped around for Dexter. See hard contact right there with the left rear. It's almost just the exact same spot on the racetrack. You got to think there might be something down.
NASCAR is going to go check things out over there. Under pause for a couple of incidents here in qualifying. This one.
kind of decisions have you made with your driver coach on what this qualifying is going to look like for the 54?
Yeah, just talking through some stuff. We have a different right side tire this time around, so just talking through some stuff. Balance is a little different than we've had in the past, so working through that. But yeah, no, confident here. Just got to go execute a lap here, and qualifying is super important here, so track positions, everything.
Top 10s in both of your starts here at Pocono in this series. What have you learned the last 2 years that you can apply here today?
You know what, people ask me that, and I don't really ever have an answer. I feel like I've just always been super fortunate to have really good race cars here. So yeah, just again, really proud of everyone at Jacobs Racing, Jason Ratcliffe, the 54 group. Really excited. I feel like we have a pretty decent operation there at GR Supra. Just got to make it a little better, but yeah, thank you to Toyota Racing and Experiment. So yeah.
That's like what we call a natural here.
I don't know about that.
Guys.
He has been good here, top 10s in both his starts, and as we mentioned earlier, 5th here a couple years ago. And crew chief Jason Ratcliffe going to continue to diagnose this racetrack as they await their qualifying attempt a little bit later on. NASCAR has looked at the racetrack and is still, I believe, looking at the racetrack and has not found any sort of fluid or anything, and we understand both drivers involved in those incidents both just reported a snapping loose sensation, which I would agree with. Both those cars did make a snap motion there. This is Nathan Bird, the first one.
Well, this one looked a little more traditional to me. It was the Dexters where it just completely snapped around on him, that especially being the next car to go through there, that you're like, well, maybe there is something on the track. The guy that I'm most nervous for is Harrison Burton, because he's next in line.
Out.
And so you just have to commit down the front stretch to turn one, and it's extremely fast corner. It's the fastest corner on the track because it has the most banking, and hope that there isn't anything down and make a big commitment here.
Yeah, he and Kyle Sieg there in the 28 lined up behind him will be the first to know.
The one good thing that Harrison can do, though, is as you leave the pits, the fact that you're going to go through there, on your up to speed lap, you can get a little bit of a feel for it. You're probably not going to exit the pits and run as hard as you can through turns 1 and 2 because you don't want to put any more wear on the tires. Typically here, if you take the green at the traditional start finish line, you would actually go really slow through turns 1 and 2 and then slowly build your speed up until you get to turn 3 and have that big run down the front stretch. But a little bit different here because of the alternate start finish line, but he'll get a little bit of an idea of what he's going to have, and if he feels anything on the track there, and make a good decision.
Cleanup efforts wrapping up as you saw both those cars making their way back to the pit road. And everybody's still aiming for the Carson Kvapil mark, 54.95. About halfway through, or not even halfway through, I should say. 8 cars have made an attempt here in qualifying. And here's Harrison to get up to speed, and he'll feel it out here in turn number 1.
He's actually leaving extremely hard right there, so yeah, gonna get a good idea of what he has right there.
He was a little lower than those other 2 guys were, kind of right on the yellow line there. Not sure if that would make any sort of difference or not, but up to speed, and
see right there at the top of your screen where the start finish line is here. Just on the exit of the tunnel, you're going to see a stripe right
there. It is.
Yep, that will be where your time actually starts on the clock, and that's just so that these guys, after they complete that lap, can
man.
Well, you get the track just extremely slick. Heard a few of those guys say that the driver's just trying to get all they can out of the car, but man, we've seen all of these cars lose. That's going to, crush his confidence getting down into turn 1, knowing how loose it was, and the fact that these guys have wrecked, and you see half second off already.
And he's way up the racetrack. Harrison was there in turn number 1. As we look at Kyle Sieg, second car on the track here in this duo. It's been all 3 corners today. Saw some guys have some challenges working through turn 2 in practice. Turn 1 is claimed a couple cars here in qualifying, and we just saw Burton there with the bobble there in 3.
Yeah, and the bumps here don't make that issue any better. You see still, gosh, all these guys just right on edge.
Harrison goes to 3rd, 56.035. Not going to be the lap he was hoping for.
No, and that's almost identical to what he ran, you know, in a race pace earlier today. So normally we see a big pickup at a place like this, and the later you can go, the more that pickup's going to be. It's still fairly early, but man, just all these guys look just so on edge today.
28 goes to P2. Kyle Sieg, good lap for him, 55.61. He was 19th in practice at a 55.62. So right on what he ran.
Yeah, it's almost like you just need to back up what you did in practice and you'd be good here.
Leland Honeyman is the second DGM entry this weekend. 92 machine. Third start of the year for him. Has a couple starts here at Pocono as well. Finished 24th here last year. And here's Patrick Staropoli right of the screen, the 48.
Patrick's already had an eventful
I was going to say, he just wants a clean lap here. Had a spin at a turn 1 in the opening laps of practice.
See Honeyman exiting turn 1 right there. Man, almost a second off. Just threw down the front stretch through turn 1.
Staropoli, as he is at a lot of these racetracks, racing on them for the first time. And that, when you have a spin and you see other guys with issues, certainly makes it all the more challenging to get comfortable. Honeyman goes to the 8th spot in the 92, and Staropoli going to finish his run as he works into turn 2 right here. And then the alt-start finish line on this straightaway here, call it the short shoot, between turns 2 and 3.
Honeyman about 3/10 off what he ran in practice. Actually, Staropoli picked up just a little bit from what he ran in practice, so gonna be happy with that lap after having the spin that he did in practice. I think he did a nice job adapting to those conditions and getting the most out of the car right there. It's such a nail biter for a session as a driver to not know when you just see all the issues guys are having. See Jeb Burton though he's got a pretty good run there to the green. Lost a little bit on exit.
Told you already, Jeb got married over the off weekend.
And he did not have a good practice. Jeb was all the way down in 31st in practice. Look at what that car looks pretty stable. He's low. Not too far off. You look at 3.5 tenths off and not too bad of a lap based on what they did in practice. He's definitely going to better where he was. So good adjustments for those guys.
2 Jordan Anderson cars on the track. Teammate Blaine Perkins in the 31. Jeb works his way out of turn number 2 here. Oh, Blaine is going to go around right side of the screen, backs into the wall ever so slightly right there in turn 1 again.
Yeah, Jeb Burton, though, his teammate does a nice job at 55.46, so nice little pickup for him. Man, the track's slick.
Got a left tire, a left front. I don't know. Maybe I just got free, but I like the left front with dragging.
Right rear looks a little low. It's kind of folded over there. I don't know if that's from the spin or if that was.
I would say that's blown from.
Oh, he bottomed out.
Looked like it just hit the racetrack really hard right there. I think the right rear being down is probably from this long spin. Could have been low, and maybe that's why we saw the car bottom out so much. But he just got kind of high on the racetrack from the car bottoming out, and then once you get up to where the racetrack is a lighter color right there, is just no grip. It's dirty. You can actually see some of the rubber at the top. You see that car.
Did a pretty good job to not make that worse, though. Just a little bit of contact, but hit it square. Maybe some work to do for the Jordan Anderson group. Eventful qualifying session at Pocono.
one at that kind of the same spot. So that's unnerving, right? Knowing that everybody's in the same line that they're crashing in. So this racetrack is super big and wide, and you know the speeds are insanely high. So any little bit of lack of grip can cause a big issue. So I felt like our Carolina Carport Chevrolet was okay in practice, but you could kind of fight any balance at any given moment depending on where you put your race car. So, you know, we're going to have to do our best. You know, Andrew Overstreet and this whole 7 team did a really good job of getting us where we need to be at, but, you know, we'll see how this qualifying lap goes and hopefully be a lot better in the race.
We'll see how it goes.
Oh, Roger,
Look at Roger.
He might be the next one.
Oh, he chased it all the way up the track. Man, look at that tracker. You look at the pace that he's lost. Great job, though, saving that car.
Well, he said, Allgaier said the word unnerving, and I think that sums it up pretty accurately. If you're one of these later qualifiers, every single car has looked out of the racetrack and not comfortable.
Well, and you know, as a driver, you just think, mine won't do that, right?
Yeah, you have to.
Down there and you have to make such a big commitment to run a qualifying lap. It takes a massive commitment as a driver. As we get a look at Roger right here, same point of the racetrack, right? It's where it loads up. You see all those guys, but it's not just turn one. When you watch these guys go around, you know, the tunnel turn, the bumps, obviously we blame it on, but also turn 3, you see how slick it is. You got to just wonder if the winters here have finally caught up. I mean, the place hasn't, you know, it was repaved back in 2012, and prior to that, it was rough and it was slick. And then all of a sudden we had all this grip for all these years, but you just got to wonder, has it finally hit the threshold that it's lost so much grip?
Jeremy Clements, 547 career starts today. Ties Kenny Wallace for the all-time starts record in this series. He'll break it next week. Got the passing of the torch graphic there in front of the left rear tire. Great accomplishment for him and Anthony Alfredo in the 96, fast in practice. He was 3rd quickest in the 96.
Yeah, he'll be a great threshold for these guys. And you see right there, about a 10th off. He's 2/3 of the way through his lap. If he can have a good tunnel turn, he might be able to get in front of Carson, who I know we talked about him having a bad turns 1 and 2, but we know why now. You know, I mean, it looked like he missed that turn, but just didn't realize how slick it was. You see Alfredo gave up a little bit of time there. He's still going to end up 2nd at 55.21. Just think at this point in the session, your mindset has to shift of you still want to get a good lap time, but you don't want to get a backup car out. You want to race the car that you have right here. And with the amount of people that we've seen have trouble on that end, maybe if we can get 8 or 10 cars here to start building that pace up a little bit, it'll build some confidence in these guys that go towards the end. But man, I don't remember seeing a practice or a qualifying session like this in years. So many guys having issues.
Yeah, normally you like to be late in the order, but Carson going early, maybe a blessing in disguise just to get his lap done, kind of not knowing what he didn't know.
Well, and I think it would be different if we had somebody blow up the 4th or 5th car out. Well, we know there's oil at that end of the track, and you know there's some oil dry, but it's not. And we don't think there's anything on the racetrack. It's just extremely slick and extremely challenging for these guys.
Some pseudo teammates on the speedway together here. Ryan Sieg in the 39 and the Haas Factory 00 with Sheldon Creed behind the wheel.
Finally got some green on the bottom right. Creed had a really good turn 3 right here, going down into turn 1. We'll see if he can hold on. He seemed chasing it up the track. He drove in a little straighter probably than what he wanted. Saw the car get a little bit unnerving on him. Going to cost him down this straightaway. See if he can make it back up in the tunnel turn.
Sieg goes to 2nd with his lap, about a 10th and a half off of Quapple's time. But let's watch Creed. Final corner, he was loose on entry, it looked like.
Yeah, gave up quite a bit of time right there.
Wasn't very good in practice. He was fastest, but was not very happy with the balance. So this will be a good test or a good gauge to see really what he's got.
You saw a brake adjustment right there. He'll probably do that for each corner. I think he turned a little bit of front brake in here. So much fun to watch. Oh, look at how loose that car is.
Oh, man, that is really loose.
Oh, that is just going to crush his lap time. You saw him not able to get to the throttle. See him now putting that brake bias back for turn 1. Giving up so much lap time, though. I can't believe how little throttle he was able to use and how uncomfortable that car was. This is going to be a crazy race.
Yeah, I was just thinking, this is single car qualifying with nobody around you, let alone when you've got 37 other cars trying to make it through these corners.
Yeah, and he's kind of managed that through turn 1. See, not giving up quite so much time. Tunnel turn didn't look too bad right there. Still lost a little bit of pace, but Retzloff on the bottom right, having a good lap right here. Love's going to be frustrated, but Parker having a great lap. We know he's really good qualifier, and he's been able to manage this as well as anybody.
As good of a lap as we've seen here, he's within a 10th.
I think there's something on the track. I just, like, for Quapple and those guys, I don't know. Like, I just can't believe it's that slick. Just from time, you know, from the years of the surface.
And it did seem to make a jump pretty early.
Yeah, you got to think maybe there's...
Retzloff goes to 4th. Lost a lot of time there coming to the alt-start finish line through the tunnel turn. Taylor Gray next up to try to manage the challenge of a qualifying lap here.
Looking good so far.
Turn 3, nice.
Really good turn 3 right here. Even better than what Creed had earlier today. And you see he's going to have the benefit of that down the straightaway. Austin Hill on your right is going to start his lap as well. Getting into some of the faster cars right here. See, Taylor Gray backed off the entry to turn 1 right there. You saw how much time he lost, but
gained it all
reap
back.
All the rewards of that through the middle. A little bit on exit right here. He's done a nice job. I feel like I'm not overdriving this car.
Tunnel turn, the final one to navigate here. 10th and a 3rd in the bank.
Yeah, gave up a little bit on entry there again. You see the tracker, but then going to gain it back on exit. So really good job right there by Taylor Gray.
The early lift and getting back to the throttle soon seems to be the way to go. Nice lap for Taylor Gray, 54.74. He is the new fastest. Austin Hill has about 5/10 to pick up here in the final corner. Let's hear from somebody who just got off the racetrack. Sheldon Creed is with Kim.
Sheldon currently in that 7th position. Lots of cars, though, breaking free. Questions about the track conditions. Do you think there's something on the racetrack? What is causing all of these issues?
I wish I knew there. I was, pretty tight there in practice in our V-Light Chevrolet, and kind of felt like I was going to be similar there maybe for qualifying, and I was like the exact opposite. I was just super loose in all 3 turns there. So, yeah, I don't know if it's just the sun coming out and getting warmer and that, or I really don't know. Yeah, it's just, sometimes these places throw you for a curveball, and I would say all of us in practice were surprised at the grip. Like, grip was super low in practice, and I think a lot of us are really tight. So, yeah, I don't know. I wish I had the answer, but we'll fight from wherever that puts us. Hopefully in the top 10, but a lot of good cars to go still.
Lots of head scratching by drivers getting out of their cars down here.
Well, as you said, Jamie, I think that'll make the race compelling later on today with lots of unknowns as we look at Sammy Smith and Sam Mayer. Smith is about to finish his lap.
Yeah, and it's the same for everybody. I mean, some of these cars that we thought, typically in qualifying you just constantly see the pace get faster and faster. Taylor Gray did a tremendous job, but both of these guys look struggling, like just to maintain. I think Mayer might even got into the wall right there on the exit of turn 1.
Lost a lot of time.
Yeah, so the tracker's trending the right way now.
Sammy Smith went to P2 with his lap, but still over a 10th and a half off of that lap from Taylor Gray. And Mayer going to conclude his run right there and move to 4th.
So I don't think he did not get into the wall. We just saw him kind of turn down away from the wall.
William Byron and the car that won this race 1 year ago. The 88 driven by Connor Zilich last year, but back in the 88 for Byron again today, making his 3rd start of the year in this car.
Good coming to the green right here. See how he does through turn 3, managing this grip level. You see the car moving around just a little bit, but He committed, committed on the entry. Almost the opposite of Taylor Gray, just kind of overcommitted on the entry, and then it's going to lose that time down the straightaway. See if he can adjust right here, down into turn 1. Decides to lift earlier. Another big commitment. Connor Zilic just starting his lap on the right-hand side of your screen.
Byron losing time through the entry to 1, but gains some of it back.
You're doing a great job there on the exit of that corner. Going to gain it back all the way down the straightaway. Haven't really seen anybody make up a lot of time in the tunnel turn, but this is definitely trending. He had a great turns 1. Trending the right way right here. Can it continue?
Through the tunnel, still in the red just a little bit, but he should move to second.
Good lap.
Nice lap. 88 to second. And here's the defending race winner. As we just told you, in a different car in the 1. Rodney Childers, the crew chief. Zilic not going to challenge for the pole here.
No, and you see all those guys making up time on the entry compared to the guy we're looking at right there, Taylor Gray. Taylor did a nice job adjusting for those track conditions and not making too much of a commitment on entry, as Zilic ends up 9th overall.
Yeah, if you're one of these later qualifiers, there's all 3 of the Joe Gibbs cars left to go. So you have to imagine that feedback or that knowledge at least has been translated or transferred to the teammates.
And you have to wonder, since Corey's never been here, he doesn't know what he's supposed to do in qualifying. So this is just going to be normal to him. This is Pocono qualifying, and this is the car that was on the pole here last year. You see he's super committed on entry. Oh, he's got up just a little bit high right there, and look at the lap time loss. But we saw the same thing out of Byron, and he was able to recover with a really good turns 1 and 2. We'll see if Day can do the same thing right here and adapt to those conditions. I saw Byron was actually quite low, a little bit lower than we saw most of the guys. As Day's going to...
He drove it in there to turn 1 and paid the price.
Oh, he did. Look at that.
You could hear it just in the RPMs of the engine, how much speed he was carrying. Brandon Jones right of the screen, teammate to the car that's fastest, and looking good on the tracker.
Yeah, looking really good. You see Day's going to go through that tunnel turn. Like he actually... Decent little tunnel turn right there, but still going to end up about 4/10 off.
End of the run for Corey. Yeah, 7th for the 17. Brandon Jones right there. Good run down the straightaway. Got off of turn 1 really well. Here he comes into turn 2.
Trending the right way. Can he get back to the throttle on exit? The car looks very stable. It is.
Yeah. Brandon Jones going to displace his teammate for fastest, 54.68.
68, good lap.
Joe Gibbs racing 1-2 right now with the other 2 cars still to come. And here they are, William Sawalich and Brent Cruz, the next 2 qualifiers.
Well, we'll see if maybe Joe Gibbs knows something we don't up here. Both of those cars being on the front row. This guy's got all kinds of momentum on his side, top 5. His last 3 starts. That tracker to pop up and see exactly where he is. That looked very stable. Oh yeah, look at that. Continuing to get faster all the way down the straightaway. He's gonna have a little bit in the bank. See what he can do down turns 1 and 2. Maybe the track's finally transitioning. We always talk about the rubber getting pulled up and how it gains grip. William runs that little bit higher line. Oh, he's gonna give up a lot of time on exit right here.
That's the moneymaker. If you can get through turn 1, that's kind of the make or break point on this lap.
Cruz not a good turns 3. See almost 3/10 off heading to turn 1.
Sawalich bouncing through the tunnel.
Snap loose right there.
Little power slide for the 18 out of turn 2 there, and his run comes to a close in the 8th spot.
Time through there. So he goes through the tunnel turn. Looks pretty stable. Again, just kind of lost all his time coming to the green.
Tough place to wrap your arms around.
Gosh,
no matter how many times you're here. Cruz goes to 7th, Sawalich 9th. And Brandon Jones has got one more qualifier before he knows if he's on the pole. And it's a guy that's pretty good. Justin Allgaier in the 7. Points leader. Never won here at Pocono, though. He does have a pole at this racetrack, but no race wins.
Gave up a little bit on entry. You saw he was able to get the car turned down. Look at the tracker. Great job right here. Have a massive run down the front stretch. It'll be all about managing turns 1 right here where we've seen so many issues. So he's got about almost a 10 to the bank. He definitely charged the corner. Will it stick? Oh, he can't get back to the throttle, but still going to have a little bit. It's going to be all about the tunnel turn again right here. You see Brandon Jones watching.
Going back the right way into turn 2.
Can he get through the bumps right here?
Oh boy, not gonna make it. Lost it there at the exit of turn 2. Allgaier goes to 4th, and it's a Joe Gibbs Racing 1 and 2. That man, Brandon Jones, will lead the field to green for the 15th time in his career and the first time this season. Carla, that was fun for us to watch. I don't know what the drivers felt about it, but that guy probably is pretty happy.
I think he is pretty happy. That was a pretty close call. You got to watch all of that. How did you manage your run, especially after that crazy qualifying session?
Yeah, well, we've been as a company after Toyota's 200th pole for a while now, so we finally got it. Thanks to Ortho, thanks to Menards and everybody involved this weekend. A couple people came by this weekend and said, I'm picking you for the pole. It was interesting. Justin's lap was looking good. I guess I had a really good tunnel turn. It's interesting at this racetrack. It's so hard to judge how good the lap is going to be. We all predicted the track to be a little bit different than it was in practice, and it took us for a little bit of a spin. I think it was a lot slower than we had predicted, so it was hard to adjust for. But yeah, all in all, really nice on these guys to be able to get us here, and track position's big. So excited to be controlling the race here to begin, and hopefully we can get out front here and control the race and get this first stage.
All right, thanks. Good luck.
He and teammate Taylor Gray leading the field to green this afternoon. Boy, we told you it was eventful. Let's just look at some of those moments. This is Nathan Bird in the 42. And then while he was just trying to limp it back to pit road, Dexter Bean in the 91 has this issue.
Oh, yeah, and then just a few cars later, you see right